All right, it looks like we are popping up here on Facebook and YouTube. Let me go ahead and share this to my page and we will get going. We're going to talk about, obviously, Hurricane Helene, the remnants. It's about to make landfall. And I can actually pop up the storm right here. And we'll look at our local impacts from Helene in here in just a moment. It's going to be a windy and wet day, no doubt about that, for our Friday. Already starting to see a little bit of light rain spreading in our direction. And we're also just waiting for our stream to also fire up on the WHAS 11 app. So here is Hurricane Helene. It is moving very quickly for a tropical system to the north and northeast at about 25 miles per hour. It's less than 100 miles off to the east and southeast of Panama City, and almost equidistant from Tampa, but Tampa, of course, off to the southeast. And it's heading toward the Big Bend Wildlife Refuge, basically. So one of the least populated areas of Florida. I guess if you have to have a hurricane, this is a spot to do it in Florida within the Big Bend area. Of course, you don't want to ever see a Category 4 major hurricane with winds up to 140 miles per hour making landfall anywhere in the United States, but that's what's happening now. Basically where the panhandle ends and the peninsula begins there around the Big Bend area of Florida. So this is going to be continuing to move quickly into Georgia a little bit later on tonight, still possibly moving through most of Georgia with hurricane strength winds. So bad news there as well. It will weaken as it moves into our area, but once we get the remnants over us, it's still going to be rather breezy, windy, gusty for our area. Again, just waiting a few more moments to pop up on our WHS 11 app stream. We're getting going here on Facebook and YouTube. We'll be able to try to get to some of your questions too. So it looks like the audio is good here. Jennifer. So it looks like the audio is good here. Audio sounds good to me. Jennifer, thank you, Love Conquers All, for letting us know about that. So I thank you guys for tuning in here. Okay, we are up and going here. So I am Chief Meteorologist Ben Pine here in the Weather Impact Team studio. We've got that camera and this camera. I promise I won't do this too much. We'll go back to our main camera here. But it is 9:37 on the September 26th, 2024. And just want to give you a heads up on what to expect. Obviously, there is a lot of talk about the remnants, what it's going to bring to our area, our region. I've had, family and friends text me, what's going to happen. And there's been some school closed. In fact, my kids are out of school for e-learning tomorrow, and I've never seen school closed because of a wind advisory and also the potential of some heavy rainfall. But that's where we're at. Thankfully, we're not expecting severe thunderstorms. We may not get any thunder whatsoever. And a fairly good soaking rain that's going to be moving in late tonight. I already started to get some sprinkles out there. This is what we need to get rid of the drought conditions. We'll be able to say goodbye to the drought here very soon. So there's actually some benefits to having these tropical storm or hurricane leftovers move over our region, especially when we can stay on the safer side of these storms. Now, if you're on the east side of these remnant low pressure systems, you can get a severe weather threat, you can get tornado threats, but we're kind of on the safer side of this. Teresa, I have no clue about JCPS. but maybe they'll make a decision here soon, and we'll have some more information coming up on WHS 11. So this is what we have now. This is Hurricane Helene making landfall basically as we speak. Winds up to 140 miles per hour, Category 4 major hurricane, moving north-northeast at around 24 miles per hour. So this is what's left of the track as it moves as a Category 2 hurricane through Georgia. And then as it crosses over the Appalachians, it begins to weaken, and we may have some gusts around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So there is a look at the weather model data, which is handling it very well. You can see it scooting right through the heart of Georgia and then moving into our area. And I just want to give you a little bit of background really quickly. Low pressure storm system. Low pressure, it means the center of the storm system. So I might use the term low pressure or storm, but the center of the storm is going to eventually be right on top of us. And it's kind of joining forces with another upper level low pressure system. So we're getting all this tropical moisture joining with another low pressure storm system. There is no current really in the jet stream to move this thing around once it sits here, right over Kentucky. So that means rain is going to be around this weekend. So it looks like a 100% chance of rain for us for Saturday and a high chance on Sunday. So we do have a weather impact alert day tomorrow because of the strong winds and the heavy rainfall. The winds will weaken as the system weakens Saturday and Sunday, but we will keep the rain around, so some more weather impact alert days for you. So let's go here. We'll go back here in time. We've got this strong northeast flow, northeast wind flowing into the storm system. The winds flow counterclockwise around storm systems in the northern hemisphere, around low pressure. So that's why we have the northeast wind tonight and tomorrow. This here is going to stop at around 8 o'clock in the morning, upper 60s, lower 70s, out the door. Marla, you got it. Lots and lots of rainfall. Cassidy, Pensacola is on the safe side of this storm. And Tiffany, we are not expecting a tornado or hail out of this, as there's just not really any unstable air. So just kind of a soaking rain out of this. Maybe a sideways rain as it starts to get gusty. So your clock is in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. This is 10 a.m. Notice some occasional heavier bands will be passing through. And that could put down a quick half-inch of rainfall when we get that orange-red color there. This is indicating around midday tomorrow, around 1 p.m. All right. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of flooding, Ron, all over the Florida coastline down that direction. Jessica, we do not know the answer to that question, but we'll let you know as soon as we do. Maybe there'll be a decision by 11 p.m. night team newscast. Brittany, 2 to 4 inches by Saturday is going to be possible. And again, if I pause and start talking to people, I'm not just talking to the voices in my head, I'm talking to some questions that are popping up on Facebook. All right, so here is Friday afternoon. So this is a washout Friday. Rain continuous throughout the day. This is your Friday night. So now we have the center of low pressure right over the top of us. So if you look very closely at your phone, your tablet, whatever you're streaming us on, you see so this is tomorrow evening. You see a south wind on the right side. You see a north wind on the left side. Look at the flows there. And it comes together and converges right about at the Ohio River near Corden. And that is the center of low pressure. That is the center of the remnants here, right over the top of us. Now watch that convergence area. South wind to the right, north wind to the left. And we still continue to have the low pressure system right over the area, maybe moving a little bit southwest, western Kentucky into Saturday. So now we are into Saturday afternoon. Perhaps not as heavy as rainfall, but pretty steady and still a little bit breezy out there. If we were to continue this into Sunday, it's a good bet we would still have some rain showers around. All right. So I answered Brittany's question about rainfall amounts. Channing, just be careful in the wet conditions out there. Channing, you're gonna have an east breeze pushing you along to St. Louis. That's the kind of the safest route, is east to west and west to east routes, because the winds are going to be blowing in from this system from east to west. So if you're on I-65, high profile vehicle, north to south routes, that's when you're going to be blowing around. And I did hear some of the school districts were thinking about that with the high profile of the buses later in the afternoon, 50-mile-an-hour winds. They didn't want to risk it. That's one of the reasons I've heard from one of the districts. And now with e-learning so prevalent, it's kind of easy to go ahead and take those days off these days. Samantha, hopefully none of our area floods. There is a flood watch for parts of the area. We're going to take a look at that as well. We've got a lot to cover here on our live stream here at 9:45, so thanks for tuning in. And I'm trying to get to as many questions as I can as well. Shelby, Bullitt County, it's the same for everybody around our viewing area. It's going to be some rain, heavy at times, and some gusty winds. The winds gusts could be around 40 to 50 miles per hour, especially tomorrow afternoon. And this is going to answer your question as well, Austin. Same kind of winds for the entire viewing area. The entire viewing area has a wind advisory 7 a.m. Friday until 2 a.m. Saturday. Marla, you're very welcome. Thanks for tuning in here. Shelby, should we be on the lookout for a dangerous storm? And that is a no. There is really no threat of severe storms. I don't think we'll hear thunder. I don't think we'll have thunderstorms. This is a soaking rain. We don't have unstable air to produce thunderstorms. So this is just going to be what we call a gradient wind, a sustained wind tomorrow that could be blowing around 20 to 40 miles per hour. Some of the gusts could be 40 to 50 miles per hour. With all the soaking rain, the wet roots, sometimes trees can topple over, especially on a hillside, a little easier than they would normally. And that's why we might have some spotty power outages. Again, severe weather threat, not expecting it. We're not expecting thunderstorms really out of this. We're just going to get bands of occasionally some heavy rainfall, some tropical rains heading our way. Okay, back to our max graphics here. Sheila, we're not expecting tornadoes or severe storms. Will driving early Friday be dangerous? I guess it depends on your definition of dangerous. So we're going to have water on the roads and some gusty winds. So definitely have to be attentive if you're going to be driving tomorrow morning. Jeff, be safe down there. It's not often you see a storm potentially still packing Cat 2 winds moving through Georgia. Just looking over some questions here, and then we'll move on to some more weather graphics. All right, actually, let me pause here. We'll get to Futurecast here. So we could see up to about an inch of rainfall. I'm going to stop this a couple times. This is at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm going to push the button. We're going to go to about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. We're looking at about 1 to 2 inches. Now, that's a pretty good amount of time to soak in that rain. We're still technically in a drought. We'll be able to soak this up. The rivers, creeks, and streams will take a little while to fill up because they're so low. So this is not a bad thing to get this rainfall. And we should be able to handle the wind advisory just fine. Again, there might be some spotty power outages. So we're looking again 1 to 2 inches by Friday afternoon. And then Friday night, Saturday, the rain continues. So we could see, 2 to 4 inches total out of these bands of rain that we're going to get over the next couple of days. Louder than life, soggier than life, wetter than life out there at the fairgrounds. That's a hard pass for me, but if you're heading out there, ponchos, ponchos, ponchos. The stores are going to be selling the ponchos, no doubt about that around here. It'll make it memorable, right? So wet and windy Friday, we know that. Saturday, less wind, still steady rain, and then Sunday, still showers around the area. Lauren, yeah, many schools have closed, including my kids' school. You're welcome, Mary. Happy to help out here. John Charlton, who's dodging hurricanes every time he goes on a wedding anniversary vacation to Florida. The hurricanes literally are attracted to his anniversaries. I am not kidding. The storms earlier looked like they would go mid Gulf of Mexico, and then his magnetism pulls in the hurricanes, defies the weather models and the physics and the mathematics and Mother Nature, and the hurricanes are attracted to John Charlton. So he had to evacuate, and I believe he went down south more towards Fort Myers. 2 years ago, he evacuated to an area in Florida, and the storm decided to go to where he was evacuating. Can't make this stuff up with John Charlton. So he's been down there having fun and fishing and catching fish and having a good time. He's been sending me pictures. All right, back to our graphics. So, yeah, Debbie, parents can make that decision. I've just never heard of us taking off school because of wet and windy conditions. We don't have a severe weather threat. We have a wind advisory. Yeah, there could be some spotty power outages because of some gusty winds, maybe some tree limbs down, but this is kind of an interesting situation. That's a good question. Seville. Diane Miller is watching. Jessica, yeah, we need the rainfall. Again, this is going to destroy the droughts, get us out of the drought conditions. So this is our wind advisory tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. I think the windiest conditions are going to be in the afternoon when we have the 850 millibar, that's about 5,000 feet, the low-level jet. So when the low-level jet, the strong winds are closest to the ground. Strongest winds are closest to the ground tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. That's when we could have some 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts and some of those, maybe some power outages. We'll wait and see. Bluegrass, Western Kentucky Parkway South under the flood watch. Again, a 2 to 4 inch rainfall total possible by Saturday afternoon. Just going to watch out for some rising rivers, creeks, and streams, some lowland flooding. Now, with kids out of school, many of them Friday, obviously Saturday, just keep an eye on them. Don't let them play around any raging streams of water. Obviously, that's not very safe. Debbie, that's possible. We have memories of Ike and the strong winds, but actually it was the sunshine with Ike in 2008. I think that was like September 14th, right around the Ryder Cup time. I was on duty when Ike was moving through, and the sunshine allowed the strong winds to come down to the surface. So we got a low-level jet like Ike coming through the area tomorrow afternoon. However, when you have clouds and rain, a lot of times that low-level jet, those strong winds, the clouds act like a barrier and keep the really strong winds aloft. What we didn't have with Ike is we had sunshine, and we had the currents from the ground to the aloft, and that brought down the really strong winds back in 2008, which caused people to be out without power for 1 to 2 weeks, and sustained winds, more than 50 miles per hour, and some gust to hurricane force winds. Not the situation, not the same situation here. So you want clouds, you want rain tomorrow, because if the sun did break out, that would open up a channel to get the strong winds down to the surface. So you do not want sunshine tomorrow, if that makes sense. All right, just looking over some questions. Tiffany, I have no idea what JCPS will do, but we'll let you know as soon as possible. I'm sure we'll have some information at the bottom of our screen on WHS11, WHS11.com, and on the night team if JCPS does make a decision. Yes, New Albany, Floyd County schools did call off, and so did Silver Creek, I believe, and also Borden and Henryville, and I think Madison. There's a lot of schools in southern Indiana that decided to call it. So here's the light rain moving in. Notice that light rain connected all the way down to the circulation of Helene, which is now beginning to make landfall as expected here on this Thursday night. So this is the Big Bend region of Florida. If you're not familiar with it, it's a big kind of marshy area, low population, which is a good thing. It's the Big Bend Wildlife Refuge there. You can see Panama City on the safer side of the hurricane out to the it's about, so Panama City, if you're familiar there, is about 90 miles to the west-northwest of the eye wall and far enough away. The left side of these hurricanes, if they're traveling north, is the safer side. It's called the dirty side, or the more dangerous side. If you're on the right side of these hurricanes, if this is moving north, so you typically don't want to be, on this side. That's where you've got a lot of rotation and a tornado threat. So the good news is for us, we are not going to be on that dirty side of the remnants of this hurricane as it moves our direction. So Tampa's about 100 miles to the southeast. Let me see if I can bring up this. Yeah, I can bring up this other map. I want to show you the severe weather outlook for tomorrow. Well, there's the severe weather outlook for tonight. And notice again, that's the dirty side, we're calling it. That is the dangerous side of the hurricane. And then let me try to pull up here day 2, which is tomorrow. So this is day 2. This is the severe weather outlook. We're not in a outlook for severe weather tomorrow. Severe thunderstorms are not expected here. So I'm looking, what time tomorrow will be the worst? So it looks like tomorrow afternoon and evening would be some of the strongest wind gusts, 40 to 50 miles per hour. But it's going to be very wet with heavy rain at times in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Sheila asking how big this hurricane is. Well, we can do a little measurement if you'd like to. We can go back to radar. And so we can check out the eye real quick, and then we'll get back to Futurecast. We'll plan out our local weather after doing a little investigation here of Helene, which is a Category 4 major hurricane. The eye looks like it's about 40 miles wide. A lot of times you get 20 to 40 mile wide eye walls. This is a pretty large hurricane. Let me go ahead and back up our view here. So you kind of got the core of this hurricane 300 miles wide, but you've got some outer bands that stretch a good 500 miles. And then this is combining with an upper level low pressure system that has rain to the north of it. So two systems kind of combining and colliding, and then it's going to give us a bunch of rain. Clearly, you can see that streaming in as I manipulate the radar here. Look at all that drought busting rain. So if let me see if I can bring up our drought map here. So this is the drought monitor. It was released today. And notice a lot of people need rainfall. So there are definitely a lot of ponds and lakes and streams that are super low. Obviously you need the water for agriculture, for farm animals. And this is going to get rid of a lot of drought for a lot of folks. Definitely very beneficial for our region. Okay, Amy, thanks for tuning in from Indiana. All right, we'll do some forecast stuff real quick. Then we'll get back to, we'll do another view of Futurecast. And then we'll wrap things up here as we approach 10 p.m. I am Chief Meteorologist Ben Pine here in the Weather Impact Team Weather Center here, WHS 11 Studios at 9:58 on this September 26th. So Thanks for tuning in to our live stream, whether you're watching on our WHS 11 app, on YouTube, on Facebook. We're trying to get to as many spots as we can here for you. Rain arriving now, spreading in from the east and southeast, cloudy and mild tonight. Northeast wind overnight, anywhere around 5 to 15 mile per hour winds tonight, maybe a gust of 20. Low of 68 degrees. Those winds are going to kick up tomorrow, around 20 to 40 sustained, some gusts 40 to 50. Wind advisory. Temps will be stuck in the upper 60s and lower 70s all day long, and that rain will be heavy at times. So we got 3 red days. Those are our weather impact alert days. There's a lot of outdoor events, festivals, Nulu Fest Saturday, louder than life. So low 70s and wet conditions. Now the winds will diminish. So kind of like Friday, as the winds go up hour by hour, the winds will go down hour by hour Saturday. So diminishing winds, weakening winds. The winds are slackening Saturday with scattered showers. And then more showers Sundays. This system is still sitting on top of us and weakening. And there's still a chance for a couple showers Monday, believe it or not, as still the remnants are still not all the way gone. Front moves through Tuesday, mostly dry front as that moves in. That 20% chance Tuesday is mostly off to the east. And then we're looking at low humidity, sunshine, nice fall weather, 75 Wednesday, down to the 50s Wednesday night. And I think that kind of opens the door to maybe fall locking in a bit more. That's going to take us kind of towards the end of the first week of October. So I've had that question as well. When are we going to have fall weather locking in? Typically that happens in October. It looks like it's very nice for much of next week. So we get a little reward after our windy and wet conditions for tomorrow, especially by the middle of next week. Back to the details here from the National Hurricane Center. Here is Hurricane Helene, maximum sustained winds at 140 miles per hour as it makes landfall about 100 miles, maybe 90, 100 miles to the east-southeast of Panama City, the Big Bend region of Florida, where the panhandle ends and the peninsula begins. Moving to the northeast at 24 miles per hour, a quickly moving tropical system. It's going to cause probably hundreds of thousands of power outages over parts of Florida and Georgia. Jessica, Shelbyville will be the same as every other spot we're going to talk about here locally with Futurecast in just 1 second. Ashley's got some light rain and some breezes there in Austin. Thanks for letting us know about that. But check that out, the Cat 2 through Georgia. Then it moves over the Appalachians, or maybe you say Appalachians. Over the mountains. And it weakens as it does, and then sits over our area. So that's where the last track will end from the National Hurricane Center, as it just becomes what we call an extratropical low pressure system, or just a low pressure system, regular storm. And again, we're on the safer side of this system, so we're not expecting severe thunderstorms. I don't think we'll even have thunder, but just some heavy rain at times. So this is our local Futurecast. Let me go ahead and stop it, move back here. So here's where we're at now. We have light rain moving in. Notice after midnight, starting to see some heavier bands, heavier pockets of rain, steady temps, upper 60s to around 70. Also, since we are on the north side of the remnant low pressure, we have a wind coming in from the north and northeast. Low pressure systems in the northern hemisphere have a counterclockwise flow around them and into them. Air is flowing into the storm systems. And so you're going to see, if you look at those air flows very closely, it continues to be from the east and northeast through tomorrow. There's your heavy rain into Friday afternoon. Notice the temperatures do not move with the clouds and rain, upper 60s and lower 70s. In the afternoon is when we could have those 40 to 50 gusts and possibly into Friday evening. But now, Friday evening, stop it here 7. Right side of your screen, the winds are flowing in from the south. Left side of your screen, winds are flowing in from the north. The center of the remnant low pressure is right over the top of Louisville at that time, and it's not moving much. This is late Friday night. Now we're going into Saturday morning. So the storm system just sitting and parking and not in a hurry to leave the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, and Indiana, and more of that rain, but lighter winds for Saturday and into Sunday. One more time with the rainfall totals, could see up to about an inch by early tomorrow morning. Maybe tack on another inch by tomorrow afternoon. So we're looking at around 1 to 2 inches Friday afternoon. And hey, we'll match these up with what's on the ground with our rain gauges all across the area and see what we actually have in the rain bucket by then. Lucinda Lewis, thanks for tuning in here. Here's the totals by tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 4 inches possible. So just watching out for the potential of some localized flooding. And lastly, a wet, louder than life. Wet and windy Friday, less wind Saturday, Sunday, but still scattered showers across the area. Secondary power sources for those folks in South Carolina. Yeah, we know all about that. We've had our fair share of power outages here in Kentucky and Indiana from Ike's remnants in 08, and then we had 09, January 26, 09, we had the ice storm, which also gave us thousands and thousands of power outages. So we do not want any of that to happen. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Wind advisory with the winds tomorrow afternoon, winds tomorrow evening, soggy ground. I think we'll have some trees that do fall over. I don't think it's going to be super widespread, but we could have some power outages. But I don't think it's going to be that crazy. But we're going to be watching it very closely. We'll have a crew ready to go if we do hear any reports of any kind of damage or anything like that. Now again, these winds that we'll have tomorrow are not from thunderstorms. These are gradient winds. These are just sustained winds just from the overall power of the remnant of Hurricane Helene moving our direction. So blustery day on the way for our Friday. Let's get it over with. And then some more soaking rains for Saturday, Sunday before some really nice weather next week. All right, I'll see you guys in about 54 minutes on WHS 11 News. The night team will have, again, the latest look at a quickly moving hurricane that will likely be already moving inland by the time we're on the night team here coming up. And maybe we'll get a decision from JCPS by that time as well. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. That is going to wrap things up with our weather impact alert live stream on YouTube, Facebook, and the WHS 11 app. Grab our WHS 11 app, by the way, if you don't have it. Head to your app store, search WHS 11. It's got interactive radar, notifications, and some helpful tools there for you. Okay, that'll do it. Have a great night, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be safe out there driving around in that wet and windy condition tomorrow.